commodity forecast that they'll then try to disaggregate down to a very low level of forecast accuracy. And all the rails basically have very differently named but vastly similar processes to do this, and at both the 1 and the 5 year level. The 5 year forecasts are done about really every 18 to 24 months, and that's primarily just to support the capital planning process. And then once those forecasts are kind of tentatively identified, they'll run through basically rail operational models to identify constraints, and they all use basically versions of multi-rail just to show them constraints in the train planning process. Then those constraints are worked out. Once the constraints are worked out, then they go back through and apply price, and then the price basically generates the forecast, the financial forecast process for both volume and revenue. And then once that volume and revenue is approved by the executive team, and then the board approves it, then it goes back down to the different commercial and operational business teams, and then they start basically putting those high-level financial plans into contract plans, what they need then to go through and meet those levels. And then the 5 year plan is done at a much higher level of aggregation, primarily to look at route planning, route and yard and crew planning constraints, where they'll look primarily at asset investment, crew hiring, and then where they need to apply both maintenance and new capital to support the rail plan.
Got it. And it sounds like from hearing you describe those processes then that there's not a ton of differentiation between the different rails. But if you had to say which ones were more or less sophisticated, would you have an opinion there?
I would go with BN and NS for the levels of sophistication. I think CSX lost their way when Hunter died, and they haven't kind of fully recovered that yet. And then I think UP still doesn't know what they want to be. Mm-hmm. You know, BN's effect. You know, like BN and NS basically operate high-speed intermodal networks with a little bit of manifest and some bulk thrown in, and then UP is basically a carload with intermodal and bulk, right? And CSX is the same way, but that doesn't mean that they accept those. A lot of times, you know, they compete with their Western and Eastern competitors, that as opposed to just kind of doing what they do well and then growing that business.
Got it.
Quick follow-up on that. I'm sorry, guys, I dropped in a bad service area. You mentioned the 5 year forecast is at a higher level, and it supports things like crew hiring or asset investment or capital support facilities. What's some of the timeline for capital outlay for some key capacity addition levers, like adding track or adding yard space or adding locomotives or cars? Is this like a 1 year thing? Is it a 5 year thing? What's kind of the lead time on the main elements of capacity?
So anything with rail cars, you're looking for 12. If you're going to buy a rail car, it's going to be anywhere from 12 to 24 months. And then anything where you're actually going to put steel in the ground is going to be between 24 to